All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Abby, or as I'm more often known online, Astronaut Abby, and I aspire to be an astronaut someday. As I've chased after this big dream which includes also hopefully being the first person to walk on Mars, I have had a lot of really fun and kind of crazy experiences. I've gotten to become a pilot, an advanced scuba diver, an author of this book with Penguin Random House. I have worked as a research scientist in a whole lot of different fields, including limnology, astrobiology, immunology, lots of different areas. And I'm also the founder of the Mars Generation nonprofit, which works to inspire and excite people about space exploration and STEM, so science, tech, engineering, and math. But today I'm super excited to be talking all things space here on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend.
I kind of felt bad because Abby did our intro and I think she just gave her work resume. I thought that was totally awesome there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to another edition of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and we are excited to have our next guest today. For those of you who might not be familiar with the term Astronaut Abby, today you're going to learn a lot today because this lovely young lady we're going to be interviewing, and she is destined and determined, as you heard from her, from Abby herself, or better known as Abigail Harrison. She is going to be determined to be one of the first, if not the first person to walk on Mars. Not just a rover. We're talking about taking the TARDIS right behind. I didn't even realize Kevo put a TARDIS in there. That is awesome. I didn't see a TARDIS right behind Abigail's picture, but there it is. And if she ends up going into the TARDIS, that would be great there. So I would definitely appreciate it. I want to welcome everyone to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. For those of you just joining us, thank you for joining us. And we hope, don't forget to if we've earned your business, please go ahead. As you can see at the bottom, subscribe, like, share, comment. That helps the algorithms. That helps us greatly. Melanie, we are like getting close. We are so close. I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly, but we're getting close to 2,000. We're like less than 100 away from 2,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
100.
Less than 100. And only that, but we are also, we're like 1,920, and we are like so close to 60,000. Our goal, if you guys have been keeping up with us, May 19th is the 10th anniversary of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We've been, well, at least the TARDIS itself. Oh God. He was watching Netflix last time. There he is.
Good Lord.
10 years. He prefers Hulu. 10 years of this little mock.
Back when it used to be blue.
What's that?
Back when it used to be blue.
You know, I like the
I love the age and the cast iron, and it's weathering and all that kind of fun.
It's acting its
character.
Age,
it's got
age.
Character.
It's got character, definitely. And today, helping us on the panel today, let me go ahead and start with the lovely Melanie Dean. How you doing? I keep hitting the wrong thing again. Hello, Melanie. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, and I would like to just tell everybody who's watching far and wide that I can't help if Christian does anything, it's not me. Because I don't have my admin controls, so I can't grab your comments. I can't grab anything. Somebody else who's very good at grabbing those comments, Mr. Dave Chapman, will be doing that. However, don't blame me.
But
I was going to say quickly, remember when we hit 2,000, that's when we raffle off this little guy. So I think it's by May 19th, or was it by the end of the month? I cannot remember.
We're trying to get, well, I meant at the rate we're going, we might even hit it by the end of the month, but 60,000 Facebook subscribers.
Yeah,
we're on the heel of that. I know this is a small number to Abby. We're just a pin needle to what she's got going on her social program.
Not at all. And I think it's really exciting to see your community grow and build, right? Especially for something like this, where it's people being brought together by this common interest. And numbers aren't important, but I'm excited for you guys.
If I could give a hug to all 60,000 people that are eventually going to be coming through here, I would do it. It would be probably a lot of sanitizer that would be needed. Speaking of a lot of sanitizer, we were speaking about Dave Chapman. How you doing today?
What an introduction for Dave.
Abby will learn.
One of the better ones. This is one of the better introductions. Christian segues are
legendary.
A thing.
For a better term.
Certainly entertaining.
Oh yes, you have no idea. I'm doing wonderfully, Christian. I kind of wish I was down there already because it's snowing again.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. No. So here's the thing. So you all have MegaCon down there, and I'm excited because I'm going to be there. Yes. But Fan Expo also runs the Calgary and Edmonton expos here.
Oh.
And Calgary is in a couple of weeks here. Edmonton is in September. We jokingly say that the last snow of the year is Calgary Expo, and the first is usually the Edmonton Expo. That's kind of optimistic. Last snow is usually May long weekend. But yeah, other than that, things are going wonderfully. I'm back from my long trip. I've got a couple of weeks of being home before I head down to see you guys.
Awesome.
Bring some of that cool weather, please. It was 89 today.
I will whack you with a snowball.
By the time it gets here, it'll be cold rain.
Dave, just for you, I've cleaned the above ground pool. We cleaned it out. We've actually put stuff in it. It was like green beyond green. Even Kermit wasn't even this green. I mean, it was disgusting green. Speaking of
that Tuesday show, I'll just sit there and I'll just be like in the pool and streaming from the pool.
Exactly.
Microbiologists everywhere.
That's going to be the episode that definitely gets you above 2,000.
Right?
Everyone's going to.
Or all 2,000 running in a different direction now.
Suddenly 0.
We've seen enough.
All of you STEM majors, we're going to need your help in trying to figure out how to shock this pool. Become clean again.
That should be an episode. Speaking of it, should be an episode. And I love our diversity here because we've got Dave over in Canada, we've got Melanie over in Tampa, and we've got the lovely Melina in Puerto Rico. How you doing, Melanie? Melina, welcome back.
It's Melina.
I know it is. Put the knife down.
It's not a knife; it's a machete. But
okay. How you doing, Melina?
I'm fine. I don't know if you guys knew there was a power outage that happened a couple of weeks ago. So
what was it, 58 hours in Puerto Rico?
For me.
For you.
For a lot of people, I think it was the breaker. It exploded. They know it exploded, but they don't know how or why. But the whole entire country was completely, there was a blackout. And it was pretty bad. And people, sick people who live by themselves, they lost a lot of the food, the groceries. It's been pretty bad. I have electricity for now. And I think the whole island has its electricity, and hopefully it stays that way. But it's been pretty rough, but we're extremely resilient people. I mean, we've been through Hurricane Irma and then Hurricane Maria. We've been months without electricity. So pretty much this was nothing compared to that. And if we could survive that, we could survive a couple of days without electricity. So that's why I'm here.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. There you go. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry. And everybody who's in the Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico, I hope everybody's doing okay. Hope everything goes well for you guys, and I hope you recover very soon. There you go. That's Astronaut Abby, and that was it. Okay. Anyway, we're moving on.
Wow.
Oh,
there
Christian.
we go. Hi there.
Again, no controls. Wasn't me.
Well, compared to what
Take
Dave
your
got, I'd
controls
much
out.
rather get that pass off than okay with it.
Oh.
Abby, since there might be folks who may not be familiar with your work, what you're doing, and what you're accomplishing, tell us a little bit about yourself, and to the audience out there, all our fellow Whovians, tell us a little bit about yourself, Abby.
Yeah, so I have been dreaming of space for as long as I can remember, ever since I was probably about 3 or 4 years old. One of my earliest memories is of looking up at the night sky, seeing the stars, and just having all of these questions, and knowing then and there that I wanted to be a part of finding the answers to those questions and exploring space and kind of doing the impossible. And so I've had that guiding star with me for the last 2 decades of my life, which has really guided a lot of what I've done and where I've gone in my life. Since then, I have found a second passion as well, which is that in addition to being passionate about space exploration and wanting to become an astronaut, I'm also really passionate about the next generation of scientists and explorers, and just really supporting those people who are growing up in Gen Z right now to be able to chase after their dreams. And with that in mind, I started a nonprofit about 7 years ago, which is called the Mars Generation, which focuses on doing just that. It focuses on inspiring people and also on providing tangible, realistic experiences and opportunities for young people to go kind of get their hands dirty with STEM subjects. So it's science, tech, engineering, and math. Trying to think what else I should mention in there. So those are my 2 big passions, are space and education advocacy. Other than that, I really love to fly airplanes, to skydive, to scuba dive, to climb mountains, really just anything that I can do to try and push both my own boundaries and try and think about, as humanity as a whole, what we're capable of doing and where we're going in the future, which I think is a lot of, when I think about how science and science fiction can fit together, such as Doctor Who, that's a big part of what I think ties us all together, is this idea that it's all about exploring what we're capable of doing and exploring what it means to be human also. That's what we do with science fiction and with stories like this, is we try and figure ourselves out. And that's exactly what we're trying to do in science as well. So whenever I get an opportunity to come talk to other fellow sci-fi geeks and nerds, no offense intended, guys, I jump at it, because I think you guys are the best ones out there.
So go ahead, Melanie. I'm sorry.
Oh, so knowing that you, at such an early age, that you wanted to achieve this, this great endeavor, what was your first kind of goal for like your education? Because I know that usually, nothing is ever point A, going from point A to point B. It's always kind of, okay, I'm going to do this is. So what was your first track for some of our listeners to see, okay, where did you start? And then where did that kind of weave through for your education?
Can I add to that question just a little bit?
No! Yes.
Yeah. I guess my question was, seeing, Gen Z and all that, what was the thing that also gave you the passion to explore space?
Yeah, so my initial interest in space exploration was really inspired by the natural world around me. I was a really curious kid, but I also would say that science fiction played a really big role in helping me to kind of hold on to that curiosity and that passion for the world and for space exploration as I got a little bit older. So initially I got really inspired about space exploration by looking up at the night sky. But then a couple of years later, I started to get exposed to all different kinds of science fiction in books and movies and TV and all of that. And it really helped me to believe that future in space exploration was realistic, which was something that for me as and this is where we'll kind of get into Melanie's question as well, I didn't have a lot of exposure to space exploration when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I lived in Minnesota, which is, as many landlocked states are in the US, we don't really have a whole lot of space industry that's very easily accessible. If you're a kid growing up down in Florida or anywhere like that, you can just pop outside and watch a rocket launch. It wasn't quite like that for me when I was growing up. And so science fiction is kind of what helped me to stay connected to this idea of what was possible in the future. But to get more specifically into the answer about the educational components and such. So education, that's the one thing that I always say to every other young person who asks for advice or talks about aspirations in space exploration, is that education will be your number one feature that will help you to achieve those dreams. It's absolutely the most important part of becoming an astronaut. But like Melanie said, it's not really a clear path of point A to point B. There's no distinct or, no category of you have to study this to become an astronaut, or this is the best thing to study, or this is the best school to go to. That kind of information doesn't really exist out there. And so my entire path has been, had a lot of sometimes doubling back, sometimes doing things in unexpected ways. All of that has had a lot of changes. When I was younger, I thought that I wanted to be an astrophysicist. When I got to college, I ended up actually studying biology and planetary geophysics. So I went to Wellesley College. I did an undergrad in biology there with a specialty in planetary sciences. And for the last couple of years, I've been working as a research biologist, so doing different types of research at different labs. Most recently, I was just at Harvard Medical School, where I was working in an immunology and neuroscience lab. And for education, next steps are grad school. That's the next big one for me. In order to become an astronaut, you have to have a minimum of a master's degree, but the reality is that, so that's just the minimum to apply to the astronaut program. But the reality is that for someone like me who wants to be both a scientist and an astronaut, I will be going for my PhD instead of a master's.
Geez. So how much more education, how much time do you need before you kind of get to that point?
Yeah, so a PhD in the fields that I am in usually takes about 5 years. So that's going to be, it's going to be at least 5 years for me, which is one of the things that when I look at the future of when you can officially call me Astronaut Abby instead of just a cheeky internet name, that's at least 10 years down the road.
Got a goal. At least it's in the name now. It's in the brand. So you're
well,
stuck with it.
People say always, dress for the job you want. And I was like, I'll just take that one further. I'll just make it my internet name.
Dave, can you bring up the previous comment from Cordero? Because I like what he had to say. Real dreams become real wings. Go for Abby. We support you from Puerto Rico. So you got one country supporting you at least going on the space out there.
That's my dad.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh. That's very kind of him.
I did a lot of animations for the planetarium industry. Well, good, awesome.
So that's one of those things that I feel like actually doesn't get talked about enough, but I wish that it did in the space industry and also just in science and STEM fields in general, is that there are so many different ways that you can be involved with space exploration or with science. We always think, it's just the astrophysicists and the chemical propulsion engineers and the rocket scientists. But the reality is that the majority of, can't say majority because I haven't crunched the numbers, but the reality is that there are a lot of jobs and positions in the space industry that actually involve other skills. And a lot of those skills are more in the arts field. So there's communications professionals, there's animators like that, there's graphic design artists, there's all of these people who allow us to not only have missions that go to space and perform as they're supposed to, but also that the public can engage with and be a part of. So if you're watching this or listening and you think that you want to be a part of the space industry, don't let not being a scientist or a physicist or anything like that hold you back. There's all of those awesome jobs out there.
And there's tons of jobs, not necessarily the ones that go into flight, but the people that make sure that those vessels go into flight, make sure that they fly out safe, make sure they're taken care of, make sure the food and everything that goes on in that vessel, make sure that they're safe so we can get those folks home when they have to come home, if they come home.
To quickly just make a little note to your point that you don't necessarily have to have, that there's so many different facets to help one another, with the different NASA and the space and all, programs out there. NASA, on one thing that we've noticed is NASA always goes to, at least if there's comic conventions around one of their areas, whether it's Houston, here in Florida, over in San Diego, where the JPL can travel to, they're always at comic conventions. And they're always having different signs that will say, talk to a rocket scientist, talk to this. And they'll have the different models and outreach to, keep enticing everybody to, learn more about this. And one of the items that you have speaking on just made me go, oh my God, I forgot about this. And to Dave Rosler's comment about doing animation, was they had a VR setup for, I want to say it was Mars, and they were starting to stitch all of the robots, opportunities, everybody's all the I was going to say droids, but all the robots' information. All
Are we there yet?
I know, right? But they were stitching it onto the planet so that way you can have a VR scape, and that way you could actually put on. They were showing us like an Oculus kind of thing on what people are doing, what scientists are actually doing from around the globe that are studying Mars or studying certain terrains, where they could look at something, look at a rock, click a button, put a note where that is, and somebody else can further the study on that. And that's all somebody that works in graphic arts, somebody works in animation, helping compile all that. So I just wanted to kind of just bring that neat little thing up, that, so many people can, there's so much opportunity in this field.
Got to get to commercial.
That is so cool. I just want to say that is like, I love hearing about that. And I love hearing that that NASA is out there going to conventions and all of that, because it's so important to connect with the population. One of the things that I've always really strongly believed as a scientist is that the science that we're doing has to be both impactful to society in what it produces, and it has to be involved in society. So we need to have, we need to be sharing and be really open and authentic with the general public, and we need to be making sure that there's a frequent communication in both directions, where people feel like they understand and are able to get some insight into what's going on. Because otherwise we start to have, when we have a breakdown of that kind of communication between scientists and the general public, then you start to get people who don't trust science or don't believe in what we're doing, and so it always fills my heart with so much joy when I hear about great science communication like that going on.
Don't mean to cut off, but we got to go to commercial break. When we return, more with Astronaut Abby. When we return, please get your chats ready. Please continue to stay logged and tuned in, and we'll become part of the legend. Here we go.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Hi, my name is Jamie Engel, critically acclaimed author of The Toilet Papers, Places to Go While You Go, a short story collection suited to match your bathroom needs. Only have to go a little? No problem. I've got stories under 1,000 words for you. Far from poopin'? I've got you covered, with stories over 5,000 words to keep you occupied, while your latrine stays occupied. And that's not all. The Toilet Papers is endorsed by the fine folks from Squatty Potty, the stool for better stools. But don't take my word for it. See what Dookie the Squatty Potty unicorn has to say on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. Well, I've got to go, but you can grab your copy of The Toilet Papers on Amazon in ebook or print, or get an autographed copy from me at therightangle.com. And don't worry, I promise I'll wash my hands first. The Toilet Papers. You might just stay in the bathroom longer than you need to.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's
time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity, streaming now.
Welcome back. My name's Christian Basil, host of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And we have special guest, the lovely, and I love her smile too, the woman better known as Astronaut Abby, or Abigail Harrison, who is going to inspire to be the first person to land on Mars and take a step out there. And we've got her today. Yes, Abby, by the way, that the toilet papers is a real commercial.
Yep. I have to say, and it's like me and Kristen are the only one right now who can see absolutely everybody, even if they're off camera, because we're the ones with the admin, and Melanie usually does, but she doesn't today. So what everybody doesn't get to see is our guests' reactions when that commercial comes up. And it is absolutely glorious.
And so I'm actually going to be sponsoring another book, and I can't wait for Jamie.
Oh my!
She's got a second book coming out. So
it's a really funny commercial. I have to say, there's a lot of comedic value there.
Yes.
So Abby, what
go ahead.
You've got a book. Can you pitch your book that entertainingly to us?
I'm just gonna be honest. Look, my book's good. It's really good. I think it has fantastic. I got to work with a really amazing artist who made sure that there was just awesome imagery throughout the book. It has interactive features where, as you're going through, you can practice the skills that you're learning. So the whole premise is that I've been chasing after this big dream for 2 decades now. And this book was my opportunity to kind of share some of the things that I've learned, share some pieces of advice with everyone. It's hard to sell it as well as the one in that commercial, but I will give you just a little bit of a sneak peek of the types of advice that you can get in this wonderful book, which one of them is that you can get a piece of advice saying you should always answer your phone, even if it might appear to be a telemarketer. And the reason for that is because when I was in college, I was in the library one day studying, and I kept getting these phone calls, and I kept just hitting, ignore, because I don't answer phone numbers that I don't recognize. Mm-hmm. And I learned that day that that's a mistake, because it turns out the person who was trying to call me that I kept hanging up on was Buzz Aldrin.
Oh,
the first,
man.
I had just recently founded my nonprofit, The Mars Generation. I'd been doing a lot of advocacy and space exploration to try and get people more engaged and interested and whatnot. And he'd heard about the work that I was doing and had gotten my phone number from, it had gone through some sort of chain in the space industry, I guess, where he'd gotten it from someone who got it from someone who got it. And called me, and I didn't know to be expecting that call, so I didn't answer it. Wow. And what makes this even worse is that the next day I did, someone messaged me and said, Buzz Aldrin is trying to get a hold of you. He's really upset that you're hanging up on him. Can we schedule a time? And so I scheduled a time.
Sorry, I'm just
right. Leave a message.
They'll leave a message if it's important. They'll leave a message.
Right.
Yeah.
So we schedule a time, and the next day we're chatting. And one of the things I learned about Buzz is he's such a charming guy. He loves to talk, and so we talked for a couple of hours, and I had only arranged to talk for about an hour. And so I, as just an 18-year-old still not sure of the world, whatever, I show up late to a lecture during the first couple months of the semester in my first year in college. I show up late to a physics lecture, and instead of just letting me slink into the back and shamefully take a seat, the professor asks me to come up to the front of the class and explain why I was late. And he's like, I hope you have a pretty good reason. God. And I was like, this one time, I think I do have a good reason.
Yeah.
So that was a fun way to.
What was the professor's reaction?
What was the reaction? Yeah.
He was very startled, and then he turned to the rest of the class and asked everyone else, which was just terribly embarrassing, I'm sure you can imagine. After I had to tell this whole story in front of everyone, he asks everyone else, does anyone, he's like, I just have to know, does anyone else here know Buzz Aldrin personally? Is that a thing? and someone in the class raises their hand. And they're like, yeah, I met him once. And my professor's just sitting there like, I guess I'm the only one that doesn't know Buzz. Like, okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know if that competes with the toilet paper commercial, but those are the kind of fun anecdotes that you can find in my book.
I think you just blew it out of the water, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I love how your tagline is "Reach for your stars" and not the stars. It's so it's specific to the goals of the reader, which I just I love.
Thank you. That's something that was really important to me when I wrote the book, and was also part of what drew me to the editor and the publishing company that I worked with, was that we shared a vision for this book, which was that we didn't want it to be just a book that people who were interested in space could read and get something out of. We wanted to make sure that it was a book that was really applicable to anyone with any dream, because the truth is that the skills and tools that you need to chase after big dreams, they're the same, no matter what your big dream is. Of course, there are specific portions to every field and industry and everything, but the baseline skills that you need are the same. And so it was important to us to make sure that it was applicable to everyone, and that subtitle there is part of that. So thank you for noticing.
And if you want to purchase a book for yourself, you can go to Abby's website, Astronaut Abby. And for those of you who are listening to the audio, astronautabby.com. And you can, right there on the website, you can actually check out everything about Abby herself, her passion going for space and going to Mars and STEM field research. And right at the title page, you can purchase the book Dream Big, How to Reach Your Stars by Astronaut Abby. So make sure you visit her location, her website over at astronautabby.com that you can see there.
I gotta say, thank you guys so much for giving me an opportunity to talk about my book, because it's something that I'm so proud of, and I am, every time I look at it, I'm still just blown away that I had the opportunity to write a book. But a lot of times when I do interviews, I have to kind of sneak it in there a little bit. And sometimes it's really creative how I pitch that. But you guys just gave me this great opportunity.
We're all about plugging. Plug away.
Thank you. Trust me, we appreciate it.
So
plugging
about the book, I was going to quickly ask, is it hardcover, paperback, Kindle?
Audiobook.
Yeah.
Audiobook.
So it's not currently an audiobook, but that would be super fun someday, right? So it is available as a soft cover, so paperback, and also as a Kindle or a digital edition.
Perfect.
As mentioned, you can find it at my website. You can also find it at penguinrandomhouse.com. You can also find it on Amazon or at any bookseller. Any major bookseller should have it available, but if you want to support your small local indie stores, which would be my vote, you can also just give them a call beforehand and ask them to order a copy of it for you if they don't have it in stock. And that goes for other books that you're interested in as well. That's something I learned, which is that if they don't have the book you want, you can just ask them to order it, and it's no additional fee to you. So.
And I also want to let people know that Abby also has a YouTube channel, which we'll be going over shortly, just to show everybody out there. But you can check out the website. When we return from the commercial break, Abby, we have some warnings from Whovians about your journey to Mars, and I'll explain when we come back. Please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend. They're friendly warnings, but just stuff if you were a Whovian you would understand. And I'm surprised I haven't seen them in the chats yet.
Oh, they're there.
Oh, I think I have.
They're there? Oh, they are there. Okay, I'll bring them up in just a moment when we return.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night, and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live, and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night, we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you, the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS with our special guest, Astronaut Abby, Abigail Harrison herself, girl power in space. And we want to welcome back. And of course, we have to go over the Whovian warnings, Abby. So I know you probably are not familiar with this, but if I don't do these shout outs, the Whovians in our chat are going to kill me. First of all, if you ever go on Mars and you see these guys anywhere near you, run. Just run. Don't even bother. Don't even talk. Just run. These are the ice warriors known as the classic bad guys and baddies, and they've actually made an appearance in New Who. And I've also got to address, if you see any water, please do not drink it.
I have to assure everyone that if I see anyone on Mars who I didn't bring with me, I'll be running. I will be turning back. No, I'm kidding.
Drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water. Run away from these guys. And if you just happen to see David Tennant in that outfit, wherever he's going, go with him.
Yeah,
So now that I've covered all the bases that the Whovians are probably put into the chats there, welcome back there, folks.
And I do think that transitions really well, surprisingly well for a Christian segue into this particular question.
Oh, there we go. What is the scariest part of going to outer space, if any, besides the fear of not coming back? Wow. Okay, Abby.
That's a really great question. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The scariest part is the aliens. No, I'm kidding.
I left something back at the Sea of Tranquility.
Exactly. Beware. No, so first, whenever I make a joke like that, I feel the need then as an astrobiologist to actually tell what the truth is as well, which is that I think it's a when, not an if, I believe that extraterrestrial life does exist elsewhere in our universe. It's just too large, and life is, as has famously been said, life finds a way. So it's somewhere out there, but the truth is that when we find it, the most likely type of extraterrestrial life that we'll find will be single cellular, will be quite simple, will be a lot more similar to a bacteria or, these really small organisms that are all around us constantly. So there's nothing to be afraid of, don't worry. Back to the question of what's the scariest part of space exploration for someone like me who has been dreaming of it for so long and who is so, I'm so invested in space exploration and ensuring that it continues into the future. I think that it's a really important piece for us as humans. It helps us in a lot of ways that, honestly, we don't really have enough time to talk about. If you let me get on that tangent, we'll be here for a couple hours. So you'll just have to trust me that it's important. But so for me, the scariest part about space exploration is the potential that it could negatively impact how the public perceives and views space exploration. I would hate to be a part of a mission that I wouldn't want to speak for anyone else because I can't speak to anyone else's tragedy. But for me, if I were to perish in space, the most tragic part about that would be that it would turn the public off of space exploration and prevent people
We
from wanting to support that. Yeah, so that's the part that is the most concerning to me, but it's just another side of the same coin, which is that if we want to have all of this public exposure to space exploration, and if we really want to get people invested and excited about this, then we have to be willing to run the risk that when things go wrong, we just have to be ready to deal with that as well. And I think that comes down to a lot of parts of fear. When we talk about fear, whether it's in space exploration or when it's flying airplanes or jumping out of airplanes, or not at the same time, I promise. Any of those other things that I do that are scary. That's how I always look at fear. Is this? It's a balance sheet. You always have to ask yourself: is the outcome worth the investment and worth the potential for what could happen? And when I look at space exploration, I'll be the first to admit that it's scary and that there's a lot that can go wrong. It's an incredibly inhospitable environment, but it's so worth it. Every danger or fear that we have with space exploration, I think, can be justified based on the returns that we get.
Right.
Well, I would even go with this, having a major Tom moment. Let's just say, Abby, you're going to be one of the first people to go to Mars. However, you're staying. You can't come back home because we need you to stay up there and make sure everything works out well.
Works out supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
That's another one of those. That's a question I actually get asked a lot. Is when the first humans go to Mars, and hopefully I'll be one of them. Will it be round trip or is it a one-way trip? And it's my opinion, as someone who's been in this industry for a while, that it will almost certainly be a two-way trip. So I'll be coming back, no worries.
But how long does it take to get to Mars now? It's like months, right? It takes months.
Like 8 months, 9 months?
8 months or something?
Hey, you're right on. So the shortest distance, so the distance between Earth and Mars actually changes throughout the year as the two planets both orbit the sun. They have different orbital periods, which means there are times where basically one of them kind of catches up to the other one and the distance between them is shorter. So if you launch to take advantage of that kind of like a shortened window, travel takes anywhere between 6 to 8 months to get to and from Mars. So you're right on. That was great.
It'd be a hell of a thing if you left something at home.
I know, right?
You go back, I forgot something.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a time where people were, trying to circumnavigate the globe, and that was taking forever. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that the human spirit can't do it, can't endure it, especially if you have, you're like Abby with having the passion and the wherewithal to at least the mental wall of having to, it's going to take a while. Okay.
Yeah. I actually look at that as one of the features, not a bug, that it's difficult and that you have to bring everything essentially that you want with you the first time around. Because when we think about going to Mars, what we're essentially thinking about doing is like you said, Melanie, you can liken it to the first people to circumnavigate the globe or the first people to, any type of exploration, there's always a first. And with Mars travel, what we're doing there is we're testing ourselves and trying to teach ourselves Earth-independent exploration techniques. So the ability, and by that I don't mean that we just forget about Earth and we stop worrying about our problems here. That's not what Earth-independent means. Earth-independent means that when we go to Mars, we can't rely on Earth. We can't rely on things like you said, Christian, like a quick supply run or anything like that. But we also can't rely, and this is the part that makes it so, in my opinion, so tricky and so worthwhile to do, is that we can't rely on having all of the knowledge and information of humanity at our fingertips either, because there's a rather large communication lapse when you're communicating with whether it's a person or a robot or whatever on Mars. Just because of the vast distance between Earth and Mars, it can take anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes for a message to get from Mars to Earth and vice versa, which means that if you have a serious, let's say a good example is if you're on the International Space Station and you have a medical emergency, you might not have the right kind of doctor on board to perform the procedure, to treat a victim. But what you do have is the ability to just call Earth and Houston, we have a problem, get connected immediately to the best cardiac surgeon, the best whatever here on Earth who will walk you through. When you're on Mars, you don't have that. You don't have that ability. So you have to really be ready for any situation that might happen.
It's worse than dial-up.
It's like living almost 100 years ago, where we were still trying to just communicate to from England and in here, from England to London.
And it's like it's like it used to be 100 years ago, also in the sense that it's like a real frontier of exploring. It holds a lot of those same challenges that early explorers here on Earth faced as well. Absolutely. It's an exciting time to be alive if you're interested in space exploration.
We'll get to the chats real fast, and we got a commercial break. I can just imagine getting off the crap. Yeah, everything's dusty up here, and the Wi-Fi is awful.
Right.
Where's coffee?
We'll get to one question. What specific?
Well, that's another one I'll have to mention when we come back, Melanie, is that coffee in space is actually a lot more complicated than you would imagine.
Oh, having this conversation.
I know. I just made a lot of people unhappy.
10 feet away. So.
I know.
We'll go before we go to commercial break. Let's go ahead and hit this question. What specific sci-fi and other films or books have inspired you?
Yeah, so I have been really inspired by a lot of the classics like Star Wars and Star Trek. I was a big nut on those when I was younger. I read all of the books and watched all of the shows and films. I was also really inspired by, this is a little bit of a niche one. It's kind of a science fiction fantasy series that it's not quite as popular, but I hope some people listening have heard of it, which is called The Dragon Riders of Pern, so P-E-R-N. It's by Anne McCaffrey, and it's a fantastic series about a futuristic society that is interplanetary, intergalactic. They're traveling between the stars, and they essentially land on a planet and then regress technologically back to an earlier level of technology. And it's a really interesting series of books, and I would recommend giving that a look.
We're going to go ahead commercial break, and just before we go, it's been 10 years almost. May 19th will be our 10th anniversary of the Traveling TARDIS. Here are the pictures of the day. This is for Abby. Yeah, I launched the TARDIS right up to Atlantis. that was a tricky photo. Yeah, exactly.
People will call it conspiracy, but
really hard to crop.
But it's true.
And also for our friends who are familiar with it, 3 geekdoms put together at once: the Traveling TARDIS, Sylvester McCoy, and the Space Shuttle Atlantis at NASA at the Kennedy Space Center all together. So this is a total geekdom picture out there. And plus, this is for Abby and everybody who's going to be taking the steps to try to get us to Mars. This was just a reminder I took when I visited the Kennedy Space Center for our friends mentioned shuttle disasters. Of course, Challenger. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. Very passionate words from a former president, and all our blessings to everybody who's attempting to get into not only space, the moon, but to other planets beyond, just like Astronaut Abby. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in. Here comes the final break, folks. Stand by. Here we go.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
And welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Actually, I was putting up a picture. There we go. That's one small step for man, and the Doctor showing up during the moon landing and messing up everything for Neil Armstrong really badly.
Next time I talk to Buzz, I'll ask him if that actually happened or not.
David Tennant showed up on the moon out there. We also want to give out a shout out to some birthdays today. Actor Nicholas Brandon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And we want to give a shout out to one of our own, James Ainstall from Geek to Me Radio, one of our fellow panelists. He also celebrates a birthday too. Now, if you're not familiar with this actress, she's just starting out. This is Chalet Lizette Brannon, and she starred in a movie called Peter Pan, The Land Forever. If you can find that movie, I haven't seen it yet, but check it out. She plays Tiger Lily in the movie out there. So happy birthday to all three of those folks out there. Welcome back to Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Abby, what are we looking at here? Seriously.
What are we looking at where?
I don't know.
On my YouTube channel, is that what you're asking about?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about there.
Over on my YouTube channel, I have, I think it's fun content. There's a lot of great stuff that really just goes into some of the ins and outs of space exploration. There's a whole series. One of my favorite series that I got to film for my YouTube channel actually was, I used to film a show called Ask Abby, where people could submit questions, and I would create videos explaining common questions about space exploration. And when the pandemic hit, I actually released a series of Ask Abby that was homeschool edition, where classrooms specifically were able to send in all of their questions, and I made videos for different classrooms around the country and around the world. That was a really meaningful series of videos that I released, and holds a special place in my heart. So I always mention it when I get a chance to talk about my YouTube. But there's really, I think there's content for everyone. Anything that you might be curious about, there's probably something there that you could watch.
Interesting stuff like pooping in space. That one that was the first one that I jumped onto. Like, I got to see this.
As a reminder, kids submitted a lot of these questions, and
wow,
just keep that in mind.
So if there was an episode that you say this needs to be the starter episode, this is the first episode you watch, which one would you pick on here?
Ooh, if I had to say this one needs to be the starter episode, I really, this might sound a little odd, but one of my favorite episodes that we filmed for the series was about menstruation in space. It was called Periods in Space.
I was going to go there, and I saw the episode, but I'm just like, okay, you brought it up.
I'll be the one to, I mean, I've filmed a whole video about it, so obviously I'm pretty comfortable talking about that. It's part of what makes that one such a fun, great video is that it actually talks a lot about like the history of women in space exploration as well, and dives into some of those not so honorable years that we had where women were discriminated against and excluded from space exploration solely on the basis of our gender. But then it also has some funny stories, like the time that Sally Ride, who was the first American woman to go to space, went to space for a week, and NASA asked her if 100 tampons would be enough for her week in space.
Which 100?
Yeah, the woman on exactly, and it's like if that's
we got a bleeder up here.
Like, so that was back in the 80s, and that just goes to show that we've come a long ways.
Yes,
hopefully.
That's an episode that's definitely worth watching, in my opinion.
You have to laugh at it, but you also have to be just it's so in depth of just and shocking and not so shocking on just how out of touch.
Yeah.
And you can't just say how out of touch these engineers and all are because it just wasn't taught or was taboo.
It wasn't, and I think that also that story in particular kind of represents also how few women were working within the space industry at that time period. So we talked about this earlier, that there are so many different jobs and roles and ways that you can work and be involved in the space industry. And women have been an integral part of the space industry for the entirety of its existence, but they haven't always gotten equal opportunities to be in various spaces. And so when I first heard that story about the 100 tampons, my very first thought was there was obviously no women on the team that were a part of that decision.
Nope.
So it's really an interesting history to talk about for sure. And so that's what you get, though. That's what you get with my YouTube and with all of my channels and everything, is that I'm not going to shy away from anything you can see. I'm here to just demystify as much as I can about a.
Well, these are interesting questions. I'm sure people want to know the answers to, and there's just like, these are questions like you didn't think about this, but now that you brought it up, I'm like, oh, I never thought about it. Yeah, exactly.
Do you mention the coffee thing on one of these?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
So I don't think I do, but now that you're asking, I'm gonna have to to make a video about that. I'm also over on TikTok, so maybe I'll put together a TikTok about that. So one of the things that makes coffee, I'll just do a brief part of it right now. One of the things that makes coffee so interesting in space is that, at least for me, a big part of enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning is the experience. Consuming the caffeine is important, but if you want caffeine, there are you can just like take a caffeine pill or whatever. It's smelling the coffee, it's holding the warm cup, it's all of that. You can't do that in space, or at least that's what they used to think, because there's not gravity. Having a cup of a warm liquid is just a recipe for disaster. Until some very clever scientists and engineers put their minds to the topic and said, our astronauts want to have a cup of coffee. They want to have a cup of tea. They want to have their warm beverage. How are we going to make this happen? And they designed a special cup that uses the physics of surface tension, which is a property of liquids, and the shape of the cup has specific angles where even though there's no gravity, the water stays in the cup, or the liquid stays in the cup. And so you're actually able to have just your nice morning espresso on the International Space Station or on Mars. But it wasn't always that way. There were horrible decades before coffee in space.
Probably just eat the espresso beans.
Get it over with.
Yeah, right.
I'll just eat the grounds. It's fine. It's delicious.
And for those of you listening on the radio, you just go to youtube.com/Astronaut Abby, spelled ABBY. Again, youtube.com. Astronaut Abby. Join the more than 20,000 subscribers on our channel. While you're at it, below that, subscribe to our channel at the youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Dave, we're coming to the end of the show, so do we have any further questions?
Tons.
In our chat. Oh, okay. Well, then let's hit them.
We'll get to what we can.
Yes.
Question about aliens.
Go for it, Dave. You read.
Go ahead. What about the possibility of life under the ice on Europa? The warm water has all the elements.
So for people who are hearing this question and may not have the background to quite know all the pieces at play here, Europa is a moon in our solar system. It's what we call a Galilean satellite. It's one of the moons of Jupiter, because it was actually first discovered by Galileo himself with his telescope. But it's one of the moons of Jupiter, and it has these special properties to it where it hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but it's very, very strongly believed to be a water planet. So it's a moon that has a large amount of liquid water on it. And that water is actually able to stay liquid because of the massive gravitational activity of Jupiter. So Jupiter is such a large planet, it has so much gravity that that gravity actually pulls on the planet and causes the crust of it pulls on the moon and causes the crust of the moon and the mantle to actually shift a little bit. Tectonic shifting causes friction, which causes heat, which keeps the moon warm enough to have a liquid ocean. That liquid ocean is then covered by a layer of ice that's like the barrier between the liquid ocean and the outer space. And so because in biology and astrobiology, one of the leading ways that we look for life, or that we would try and find it, is with water. All life that we currently know about requires water in order to survive and to exist and thrive. And so anywhere that we find large portions of water within our solar system is a pretty good place to be looking for extraterrestrial or alien life as well. So it's very possible that Europa has alien life, that it could exist there. We don't have any evidence or anything to make us proof or anything like that yet. It's just that the situation and the circumstances are correct, and hopefully someday we'll be able to explore there more thoroughly and more in depth. And that's a big part of why going to Mars is so important, is because it teaches us that Earth independence that we talked about earlier, which then allows us, once we know how to explore Mars and spend time there, we can take those same skills and we can apply them everywhere else. We can say, let's go to Europa. We already know how to do this. Let's go and let's just answer it once and for all.
They got good coffee in Europa.
But don't drink the water while you're there. If I've learned anything, it's don't drink
the water on Mars.
And
so this one,
taking notes.
This question might be, because we are basically out of time, might be more of a, do you have a YouTube video in this, or you might want to put one up? More of an ethics question. Say you were successful in setting up a colony on Mars. The population grows. You get to the 4th, 5th generation of Martians. Should Mars get their own independence from Earth? Or would Mars be part of an Earth constitution from day one?
Right. Definitely a big question.
It is the politics out of Mars for just a little bit there.
It's Robinson. No.
No, I mean, it's a big question, and I applaud the asker for just incredible optimism as well. I really hope we get to that point in space exploration in the future. It's important now. We're not nearly there. We are quite a ways off of having colonies on Mars, and by quite a ways, I mean not within. And again, I could be completely wrong, so don't, everything I say, anything could happen in the future, but it's my opinion based on my time in the industry that within our lifetime, we'll hopefully put people on Mars, but it'll be short stints of visitors. That to set up a colony there it's an entirely different ballgame. There's a lot involved in that. I don't think we're capable of it. I think we're looking at, far into the future for that. But now is the right time to be asking those questions, because we're at the early stages of Mars exploration. And it's important how we think about and talk about Mars exploration from an ethical and legal and political, I guess. But I think the ethics are more important way, because what we talk about and what we do now is going to set the baseline for what's acceptable in the future in terms of exploration, not just on Mars, but everywhere else in our solar system, and who knows, maybe even farther out into our galaxy.
Abby, how much time do you
Good
have?
question.
How much time
I have about another 10 minutes before I have to head out.
Let me go ahead, and we're going to move to the after party so we can get some more questions in there. For those of you listening to the audio, thank you for listening so much. Again, if you're listening to us on audio, you can listen to us anywhere. You listen to your favorite podcasts on iHeartRadio, sci-fi.radio, download the app for free, cbsradio.com, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, wherever you listen. Then thank you for our friends over at the Hanging with Web TV show media for sponsoring for that. Also, if you want to check out Abby's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Astronaut Abby, ABBY, and also her website, astronautabby.com. And you can purchase her new book. That wasn't their new book, but you can purchase her book. This book is Rocket Fuel for Dreams, by her book Dream Big, How to Reach the Stars. featuring Abigail Harrison. Thank you so much, Abby. Stand by. Thank you, everyone, for those of you listening to us on the radio show. Please, and if you want to see more of the stuff, go over to our YouTube channel right now. We're just going to be going into the after party where we're going to continue, and as long as Abby can stay and answer all the questions you got. Thank you so much for joining us, and ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this Easter. Booyah.
Wow.
We are going to be reviewing one of the last shows that Jodie Whittaker will be doing, Legends of the Sea Devil. Please be on the lookout for our Facebook and YouTube channel. We will be letting you know when we'll be going live and actually reviewing. We may even do a preview, but we're definitely doing a view and a review of Legend of the Sea Devils, one of the final episodes of Jodie's 13th Doctor run, and we're very excited to go and see what's going to be happening there. Again, for those of you listening, thank you so much. We're going into the after party, and always check us out every Tuesday on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Stand by, please, and take care of yourselves, because we always want you to be part of the legend. You know, I never put an after party moniker on this thing. And thank you, Abby, for staying around for another 10 minutes. We're going to go. Hopefully, you do not encounter the Puerto Rican chupacabra on Mars. What?
I could not put that one up.
No, you could not put that one.
No, there's no way to not. That's
Melina, come get your father.
You guys are really giving me a lot of things. You know, I gave an answer earlier about what I was afraid of in space, and now you're making me think I should be afraid of chupacabras and whatever those other things that I'm supposed to run away if I see it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot that's
when you get to Mars, you can binge watch all of Doctor Who up there. You'll have plenty of time.
It's a great thing to do on the way there, right?
What was that last one that I'm guessing that having your appendix and gallbladder removed isn't the SOP for an interplanetary mission? Better have an MD crew.
Well, that actually does beg a question. How much would you be how thorough a physical would you have as an astronaut before being sent out on a mission, so that you don't have, or at least help mitigate that kind of issue of, oh, look, your gallbladder was about to pop and
It's very thorough.
And I have 100 of these Tampax that came out of nowhere. Left over by Sally from the last journey.
Plan for.
No, there's a lot of, so that's a big part of when astronauts are being selected, and that's part of what makes a professional astronaut quite a bit different from a space tourist as well, is that, which is something we're starting to see more of now, is the space tourism. But for professional astronauts, you have to ask the question both when you're selecting them of, are you going to have a major medical emergency in space, which oftentimes you can't predict that. These things just happen randomly. I'm actually training as an EMT right now, an emergency medical technician, specifically to add to my resume to apply to the astronaut program, because I figured that's part of why it's so much more difficult to do human-based exploration rather than robotic, is that humans are unpredictable and our bodies are terrible.
Yeah,
they mess up all the time. So sometimes
and I have a friend
that
that's
stuff just happens. Oh yeah, you have a friend.
Sorry, I have a friend who's an EMT, and they basically, he said that you have so much time just to study. It's insane because you're on call once you're an EMT.
Yeah.
So that you saying that, I'm like, oh my god, see, that's one of those not A to B thing, but no, there you get that point, and you're now building on this point, so you're just getting all the building blocks.
Exactly. Yep. That's what I'm trying to do right now, is as much as I can. And again, there's no clear, every astronaut that you talk about when you ask them, or at least every astronaut I've talked to where I've asked them, is there a magic answer here? How do I go about achieving this? And each and every one will say every single astronaut's path is different. And the way that you get from point A to point B being space, is completely different and looks different for everyone. And so it's part of what makes it such a fun dream to have, is that there's so much variability as well. You can really do so many different exciting things and all of that. But yes, the medicine side is, it's pretty important. So it's important both to try and decide how likely they are to have a medical emergency in space, but it's also something that NASA looks at. There's over 400 conditions that disqualify you from being an astronaut with NASA. It's a lot. And they look at that because when they hire an astronaut, it's a huge investment. They want this person to stay in the program for 20, 30 years or so. And so they're definitely looking for people who are able to have long-term commitments to
career goals,
space exploration. But that doesn't mean, for anyone who's listening who wants to go to space someday and has medical concerns or issues, that doesn't mean that you're not able to do it. It just means that in this day and age and right at this point in time, NASA might not be the route for you, but there's so many other ways nowadays to both get to space and be involved in meaningful ways as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give this up to work at Disney World at Space Mountains. Done here.
I really, I'm just going to say a comment followed by a question. I absolutely love your attitude, Abby. You have a very positive attitude. It's inspiring me and everybody of all ages, really. I'm in my 30s. So it's like, because I also wanted to go to NASA. I actually did. I started studying engineer, but my passion was more in films because I love films. So I'm still in that little path because I enjoy science, but I also enjoy arts, like, filming.
Yeah.
So I'm both like, but I still, one of the things in your book and is about expecting failure. So that was like an advice. So what do you mean by that? When during this journey of exploring what you want to do in your life, let it be an astronaut or filmmaker or doctor, how would you explain that about expecting failure?
So first I want to say, Melina, that I want to hear more about your life someday because you sound so interesting and like you just have incredible stories to tell. That's so cool that you used to study as an engineer. Thank you for asking the question. Also, that's when I get asked for advice, especially for young people, that's usually my first piece of advice is to expect to fail. And that sounds really cold and harsh and rude until I qualify that and give some extra context around it, which is that nothing gets done without failure at some point or another. Nothing great is achieved without having mountains even of failures that happen first before your big achievement. And I've always thought that it's not that some of us fail and others don't fail, and that's what defines success. It's that we all fail at certain points, and it's how we deal with that failure that defines whether or not we're going to be successful at the thing that we set ourselves out to do. And so for me, that's always been one of those things that I wish that we talked about more, and especially that I wish that we talked about more with girls and women, because I think that even more so, the way that girls and women are raised and socialized in our modern society is with this idea of not failing, not messing up, all of these things. Yeah. And especially within the sciences, that's probably the worst thing that you can tell someone, because science is all about failure. That's how we figure things out, is by trying and failing and trying and failing over and over and over. Yeah, ad nauseum.
Every time I play Halo. So.
It's another one where you have to be ready to to take a couple hits, right?
Oh, I took quite a few hits on that.
Well, there's a quote that I know it's been changed and now paraphrased, and they say that it's an Edison quote, but it's I didn't fail to make a light bulb 1,000 times. I just learned how to make it, not make it, see, now I've already kind of like learned
the wrong way to make it.
But it's that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, it's someone had asked him, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? He goes, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb is an invention of 1,000 steps. Right. And there's always like different iterations of that, or finding 10,000 ways it didn't work. So it's building on that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another great quote that I really love. That's it's a popular quote in the aviation sphere. It's by Chuck Yeager, who was a really famous and beloved aviator back in the day. And he said that, hopefully I don't butcher this one, he said that a good landing with an airplane is one where everyone on the plane walks away. A great landing is where you can reuse the airplane afterwards as well. And I always look at that. I think that has kind of a similar ring to it as what the quote that Melanie brought up, which is this idea of like, failure happens. And it's not something that we need to just look at and say it's this awful thing. It's actually a part of the process. And there are, as long as everyone comes out of it okay in the long run, then what did you really lose with failure? You didn't lose a lot. Instead, you can look at it kind of as a stepping stone where, like with Edison, I was teaching him the wrong way to make a light bulb so that he doesn't have to keep trying that again. It's the same with your dreams. If you fail at something, it's not that you're not cut out or you're not qualified or you're never going to be successful. It's that now you know the wrong way to do it. And now you can hopefully use that information to help guide your path in the future and
learn from it.
Learn from it. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a journey, really. I mean, it applies to all of us, no matter what kind of dreams or goals that we have, because during that path, there's going to be always something in the way, a boulder, anything that you trip on, anything. And it's okay we fall, as in fail, right? Because that's part of it. But the important thing is to get up, even if it's crawling. I say, even if you're crawling on your knees, your bloody knees, and you're still feel like you're broken, I think the important thing is to move forward, even if it's crawling. Because once you keep going forward and you learn about what went wrong or etc., that's when you start getting yourself, okay, so how can I fix it? That's how you kind of get yourself up. So it's really about the attitude. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to feel sad because we're human, right? It's normal. But it's not okay to stay like that for the rest of your life. And it's not okay to call yourself a failure. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to call yourself a failure, because you're not. You're just learning. That's the way I see it. And that's how I'm so inspired by your attitude again, Abby, because you're so very positive, and it's really contagious, and I really, really enjoy it, and I really love it, and you're an inspiration to all of us. You really are.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
We got a couple questions, Dave, don't we?
Yep, we do. And so this one I was very important because we missed it earlier. What's your TikTok?
My TikTok is, it's also Astronaut Abby. Super easy to find. But definitely come check me out over there. I love TikTok. It's a fun place.
Just trying to find the other one here.
You want me to hit it? It's Andrew's question.
Yeah, go ahead. He's got a couple of them. So yeah, go ahead. If you got it, go for it.
Have you come across astronauts who have had a kind of spiritual experience of seeing the Earth from space, minus Captain Kirk?
Yeah, this is actually a lot more common than you might expect. That most astronauts that I've talked to, I don't know if spiritual is the right word, because I know that spiritual means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but they've had a very emotional reaction, I think you could say, and even more so, one of the really common unifying themes that I've heard from friends of mine who have spent time in space is this feeling of connection and this feeling of humanity, and recognizing and realizing both how fragile we are in our position in space. It's really, we're just this small planet where we got lucky and life happened. But also, so not just the fragility, but oftentimes astronauts will also describe this sense of interconnectedness, of realizing that humanity is more than the divisions that we create for ourselves. That when you're in space and you're looking back down, you see us as a whole, and you realize that there's borders don't mean much, and all of these different ways that we separate ourselves into small groups, that they're just not as important. We're all human. We're all one family together, I suppose you could say. So that's definitely an emotional response, I would say. Another one that a lot of astronauts have is this strong urge and desire to take care of our planet afterwards.
Yes.
it's called the overview effect, which is
The
when you
overview,
see Earth from space, you start to realize how special Earth is and how, like I said earlier, how fragile it is and how important it is that we do everything that we can to take care of it while we have it.
Melanie, I don't know if you saw when William Shatner landed.
Small, I just have to introduce a.
Here we go. Wait. Here it comes.
You got it.
It is the Traveling TARDIS cat alert. Yes.
I love that you have that all ready to go because cats
There we go.
love Zoom. I don't know if anyone else had this experience with work from home. My cats love being on Zoom. They are constantly participating.
My Luna does that.
You have another kitty, right? You just got another kitty?
I do. I have 2 cats now. Just 5 days ago, I got an 8-week-old kitten, and I already had a cat, and their names are, as you might expect, Apollo and Artemis.
Oh, great.
Of course.
Mine is Pluto.
Oh, I love that. That's a cute cat name.
Pluto.
Taking the Mars, they will just walk on everything and mess up everything.
That's, oh my gosh. I'll have to try and find it and send it over to you guys or put it up on Twitter or something, because there was such a great, when the pandemic first started and everyone was transitioning into work from home, there was one of the people who controls the rover on Mars, who actually sends codes and whatnot, put out a tweet that said something like, you know, if the rover does weird stuff today, it's because my cat's walking on the keyboard.
I believe
like
it.
That's so classic cat, right?
The rover's knocking stuff off the tables.
Right.
I know you have to go, Abby, and I just have one
I'm sorry.
final
I was just
question.
going to say just
No. I have one final question for you before you go, and it does relate to this picture. You are selected to be the first person to step foot on Mars. You have this big obligation to say something back to Earth. I doubt you. I don't know if you've actually written your script or what you were going to say, but if you're going to say something to people in this final moment that you're taking your first steps, what would you make sure that speech said, or what that would include to everybody back to Earth?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about it. Again, I never like to be so egotistical as to think that I'll actually be the first person, but I hope to be. And that's a huge responsibility, right? Like everyone remembers the first words on the moon. And so I've definitely put some serious thought into that, and I'm willing to share it with you guys. Are you ready to hear?
Yeah.
Okay. So boots on the moon, what I'm going to say, or boots on Mars, what I'm going to say is, oh shit, oh my God, we weren't ready for this.
Yes.
Those are the first words we deserve.
Exactly. No, that's my cheeky answer, but I can't tell you what I've definitely put thought into it, but I can't tell you what I'm going to say. Otherwise, no one's going to tune in, right? To watch the landing. Yeah, can't give that away. Got to keep some of my secrets.
There's no Starbucks up here, and somebody left tampons all over the place.
Hundreds of them. They're everywhere. They're floating.
Again, before Abby leaves, we want to make sure we get everything out there, but definitely want to check out her YouTube channel, youtube.com, Astronaut Abby, and her website, astronautabby.com, and you can check out her book and everything that Abby is going to be going, because we are going to support you on your endeavors to be the first person, if not the first person, to be walking on Mars, and wherever it takes you from there. So, Abby, thank you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I love it.
This is the best I can do. I couldn't find
you were right. Well, go do that.
Everyone's representing here. That's
there you
awesome.
go. You are.
Oh,
here.
Melina, I love it. That's a fantastic shirt. I'll have to show mine off also then. This is the Mars 2020.
Nice.
Oh, I have my pins.
There we go.
Oh, I love it. SLS, so that's Space Launch System.
Space Launch System.
Who aren't familiar,
these are the little freebies that if you go to a Comic-Con, everyone, and you look around to see if you find the NASA bags running around. If you get to talk to people or you engage, talk, they have a tendency of giving out all different types of pins. And I even have my coveted one is the Cassini. It's a Cassini mission one.
Yeah, that is a great tip. That if you ever see a NASA person in the wild, the likelihood is that they will probably have a capture pin or a sticker or something to give you. So It's one of the fun parts about the industry.
If you're ever at NASA, or give me a call when you're back in Florida, the two of you need a picture.
They're always at MegaCon. They're always at San Diego, and they're always around Houston.
You're welcome here also as well, Abby. I work in tourism, and I will be happily welcome you and be your tour guide. I to receive you, and my dad will be there as well. Oh, and
I feel like I know him now. I feel like I know Melina's dad.
My father, he was worried about us because it's not a. I mean, it's just quickly. My dad asked me to ask you if you knew who Joe Acaba is. He's like, I think the first Puerto Rican to actually fly into space. I think it was 2009. So my father asked me to ask you if you know him, or if you don't, that if you inspire, to meet him one day.
I do know of him. Sadly, I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I would love to. I think he has a really inspiring history and story, and which, of course, you're familiar with as well. He's a cool guy, definitely. If I'm not mistaken, and maybe we should fact check this, but wasn't there a Puerto Rican resident who was recently part of the most recent NASA astronaut selection as well? I think that's true, which is really cool because there, for astronaut selection classes, it can be tens of thousands of people applying for anywhere between like 8 to 12 spots.
Marcos Gabriel Barreros.
Yes,
he's going to report for duty in January 2022. So he just reported. So yeah, he's the 2021 class.
Yes, and that was just the most recent class, and that probably was really exciting for you, right, Melina?
Yes, it was. We got. I remember getting the notification for that because we get every time something like that happens, it's like a huge deal over here, and it's I guess it's just the proudness. I don't know. It's just amazing, really is, and again, it's inspiring. And maybe one day I'll just stop by and say, hey, I'm done with filmmaking. Maybe I'll or I don't know, do a documentary. Maybe a documentary on NASA, a documentary on you, Abby.
Now we're cooking.
Oh,
Now we're like, I'm gonna have to go to Puerto Rico. Like, sorry, I'll be coming to visit.
She's coming for the nice weather. Yes.
Yes, I would definitely take some nice weather now. It has been such a pleasure to get to talk and chat with all of you guys. Thank you so much for having me on, and I hope that we can stay in touch in the future and maybe do this again someday.
Absolutely.
You got it. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Abigail Harrison, better known as Astronaut Abby. Check out her Facebook page, her YouTube channel, and everything that she's going to be doing, because she's going to be going places, literally.
Far away places.
And I can't wait until she gets off the show and goes, damn, I left something in there.
A pleasure, really.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now. And everybody, we are going to be, again, this Sunday, we're going to be reviewing, viewing, and previewing Legends of the Sea Devil, one of the last episodes of Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, and bringing on the Sea Devils themselves that haven't been seen, I think, 1970? Wow. So they're coming, 1980. They made an appearance in Warriors of the Deep. But let's see how they take them on. They actually look a little terrifying out there, but definitely that we'll be doing that this Sunday. Just keep an eye on the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the Twitter. We will have it eventually on our social media when we will be premiering this live, and we may be watching with you as it premieres on BBC America. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a weird hour. I think it's 2:10 Eastern Standard Time.
What?
I think it's like 2:10 Eastern Standard Times. I know it's in the afternoon. I know it's like in a weird spot. If anybody wants to take a look at that.
I have no idea.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments.
Okay.
There's so many great comments that we did not get to go up there. So if you asked the question, we didn't get to it. I am so sorry. That's on me. And I mean, we had lots and lots of great, long, wonderful, amazing answers.
The important thing is that you highlight my father's comments.
Well, if you insist.
He has to. Oh, that's cool. He has 7 cats. He does.
5. I'm taking one to the vet tomorrow.
Ooh,
But he's going to go to work with me. Just check out.
I could swear that Mackenzie sent me the picture. It was a picture of actually what time the show was premiering on BBCA. And it was like 2:10 in the afternoon. I'm like, oh, hold on. What we got?
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Wait. We actually have a tab for this. What's Melanie say? Hello, my name is Melanie Dean, and I'm a chocoholic. So, what was...
There's a billion comments out there. There's 2 of these people on here that could put them up there. No, I'm not.
I know. I'm working on Dave.
I'm sorry. I'm like sitting on a good comment and missing other new ones, and I'm just terrible at this.
A good comment.
Well, it was questions, and I didn't want to interrupt the answers. So, one thing I did find really interesting, a couple of points where she said stuff that really reminded me of our interview with Dr. David Brin.
No, that's right.
Which, reminder, we have that up there.
Yes, we do. Author, scientist, and futurist.
Back when we partnered with Wizard World.
Yeah. So you can always watch that on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. But things like, there is no straight path to things. It's an important lesson to remember. You're not just going to go from point A to chocolate. You have to work your way through the box and through the wrapper. And
that's true, because if I could click on the comments, Mark says that my parcel to him with a lot of chocolate is stuck in customs.
There you go.
Yep.
15 pounds to you, buddy. It matches the 15-pound box I have not opened yet.
Good.
So we'll have to do an episode once you get that, we will open them and we will.
There you go.
Compare and contrast the snacks of US and the UK.
Maybe I should do a documentary or like of Abby. And what am I doing? Oh, I was trying to active this, but this doesn't. I got this in Target. Not Target. I wish we had Target. TJ Maxx.
Oh, you don't have Target?
We don't have Target. I wish we had Target. This is in TJ Maxx. It's like $10.
There's no Target in Puerto Rico, or is it just no Target here?
You know why there's no Target here? You want to know the stupid reason there's no Target here?
Why?
Because there's a car rental company called Target.
So they can't have it because of the brand. The brand thing.
The reason. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. We don't have Target. We don't have.
Yes, Sophie.
Well, I don't know what is it? The Publix.
You have Walmart.
Well, no, we have Walmart.
Okay.
Walmart is like 2 minutes from here where I live. But we just recently got Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
We recently got Arby's.
Okay, Arby's is good.
We got
show you are up.
I don't know. Some of Krispy Kreme came here like 15 years ago, 14 years ago, and it started here in my city.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like Disney. I kid you not. They had tents and everything. It was like a huge deal. It was like in the news. Everybody was like sleeping outside and everything, waiting for the big opening of Krispy Kreme. And it's still like a huge deal.
Do you have Dunkin Donuts?
It left. We had Dunkin Donuts.
After the hurricane?
No, that was years before.
Really? Because I was almost thinking that that certain things left after Maria. Like they were just like, nope, we're out.
No, there were
really?
a couple of things did close, but no, we don't have Dunkin'.
I'm almost kind of thinking like a lot of the stuff that would be like in the New York area or even in Florida. Because I'm just trying to think like the big like immigrating Puerto Rican populations, like those companies would also want to go down to Puerto Rico, but I guess not.
No, and it's I know that Dunkin' Donuts for years it said that Baskin Robbins was going to leave, but still Baskin Robbins is still here. We have Cold Stone, we have Baskin Robbins, we have Best Buy. We have a couple of years ago we had Applebee's, Red Lobster, Olive Garden is here now. So
I was gonna say a few of those companies are all the same group, so I could see if one goes in, then they can share their supply chain to all.
Correct.
Get in.
The one thing I want is actually Target. When I went to Florida, and I visited my cousin who lives in Tampa, and when I went to Target, it was like Disney. It's like, oh my god, look at all these things. It's like a more cooler.
I feel so bad now. There's like
why?
There's like no, because there's like 8 in my one county. There's times where I have legitimately been like on a Target run where I'm like, they've let out a new Black Series toy. Let's go look. And me and my husband will go to 4 different Targets and not left the county yet.
You're kidding.
No,
now that I see you with lipstick, so I'm guessing you like kind of makeup.
Maybe.
There's one Sephora in
probably this show. In reality, I'm a
There's
slob.
one Sephora in this country, just one. Just one
Everybody's
Sephora.
fighting for
And
that place.
for me, it's so weird because again, when I went to Tampa with my cousin, there's a Sephora like a wall.
They're in every mall.
And we almost in every mall. And there's one Sephora, and it's in San Juan. It's in the just one.
How far is San Juan from you? I know you've mentioned it, and I can't remember.
Oh no, it's okay. So about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Here. So
not crazy, but
literally, I drive up there to get myself an eyeliner. Just the eyeliner that I like.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just only one Sephora in this whole country, and I wish
Target, Walmart.
Okay.
Amazon. You have Amazon. You have Amazon?
What do you mean? Like
you can order from Amazon and get it like within
not
a
the
day or
same
two?
day or not the day or two. No. We don't have that. We have
Yeah,
you mean like the
just no.
How do you say this? Almacén. Help me out here.
I'm trying. More words.
Is my dad there? Papi, ¿cómo se dice almacén?
Get into the chat, Poppy.
Pa, ¿cómo se dice almacén? Se me olvidó. He's not there. I don't know.
He's there. I think he's there.
Oh my god.
So you basically get things just shipped to you like it would normally be shipped?
Yeah, like a week or two later.
Okay, so it'd be coming through like your post office, that kind of thing. It's not like here where we have Amazon trucks where they legitimately you get it in the same day. You can get stuff within 2 hours and they still haven't like tapped it out of your bank account yet.
And I received notifications from my
figure
cousin
head?
that's like, oh, she just ordered a package. And like the same day is there, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I really hate you. Like,
yeah, we get that here in St. Pete and Tampa area. There's distribution centers all over the place.
Warehouse. That's the word, warehouse.
Warehouse.
I had to
Nice.
You're looking for the word warehouse.
Target could rebrand the real name of Richway.
Oh.
We had Target in Canada for about 2.5 minutes before it failed miserably.
Really?
They bought the entire Zellers chain, tried to rebrand as Target, and it crashed and burned within, I think, a year, maybe 2.
Target's like just is. I can walk over to my husband right now and go, "Hey, you want to go Target?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he puts his shoes on. He loves Target. He'll drop everything and go to Target. If he says no, I know he's not feeling well. I know he's not lying. He's not feeling. He loves Target. He can walk around Target at all times.
I have to explain this comment. Where did it go? Hold on a second.
I need to find out more about this rich way.
Where did the Target go? Okay,
Welcome
this is Joe.
Yes.
From the No Name Trivia, and I put a link in the group chat down there. You can check it out for yourself. I was up at 5 a.m. with Simon. Oops. I was up.
Oh, that's right, because you sent it to our chat, and I was like,
"Yeah,
no, brother,
I was like, if you have to
sleep.
I said no.
Get ready for
it's a cool, fun interview / trivia game, and I was in there with somebody else. Joe, if you can put her name up, she's a photographer. She's also a fellow Whovian, and Simon and I were Simon and Joe were asking us questions. We had people asking the questions, but there was fun things like yes is the answer. so things that are going on. The links in the chat. Anyway, as a thank you, Joe had given the two of us and purchased and Joe, if I get this wrong, please let me know. 1 foot square of land in Glencoe, and I think it's in Scotland. So now I am a lord of Scotland now for 1 square foot of land. So I am a time lord if I put a clock on it.
I'm a lady. I can't remember what my land is though.
So I do have a land, and I just kept insisting that I'm sure some dog went up there and peed on it. Something that is like.
Well, I know a lot of the places where they are asking, to do the whole, here's a title, blah 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 blah. A fair amount of those places will do that so that they can help restore whatever castle or buildings that are on the land. So that way
I
they
think
can
it's a
help
cute idea. It's just like
it.
I literally now want to find this spot and go and put the TARDIS on.
Oh, see, I joke that one of my own personal little thing that I want to do in my life is to amass as many titles as possible.
Oh, okay.
I've got lady, I've got baroness, and I've got reverend. I am an ordained minister. I have that. So I'm just going to keep everything because I want my gravestone, even though it'll be a cenotaph because I want to be cremated. I wanted to have every freaking thing.
Okay, Joe says this one called about land conversation.
I've never seen anybody so prepared.
Because I want people to be like, "Oh, who is she?" And I'm like, "I'm a nobody, but I just want."
I did not read titles on that website. I read something very different.
Sir, you did not have to.
A little bit far away.
So thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. I might have to fly out and see this piece of land that I got there.
You should send your little TARDIS thing. Maybe we should take a picture of in Morro. That would be cool. The TARDIS in San Juan.
If I ever get there, I swear I would love to get there. I'd love to do it at a convention. HighlandTitles.com is where you get to purchase. And check out, please, the link is in the description of the group's the No Name chat. It also co-stars Simon Fisher Becker, who also it was just a fun little video.
You have to find out what tartan pattern you have. Now that you're a lord.
For a kilt.
In Scotland.
I'm really wearing a kilt, right?
Kilts are awesome.
I didn't say they weren't. I'm just saying.
My brother works in construction, so he wears or used
like
to
pruning
wear
a dead
utility
tree.
quilt.
The utility kilts, and he was just like, "This is the greatest thing ever made." I know so many also workers that construction. They're like, "Nope, this is what I wear now. This is amazing."
So,
I have an honorary doctorate, hence I can call myself doctor. This is Tom, ordained minister too. #boop. I added that last part.
My dad is I don't know I don't know how do you say this in English at all. It's those people like if from the church who goes to jail or visit the hospital. It's called capellan, but I don't know how you say in English at all. It's like it's a little group of people that they train to go to certain places, and my dad goes to the jail. There.
Oh, like a chaplain?
Yes, that's it. Chaplain. That's it. That's it. Yes, that's
chaplain. It's like a religious kind of. You're ordained. You can speak. You can help. You can help people in need.
No, Mark.
That kind of thing. A chaplain.
Stop it.
That's what my dad does. He goes to jail and.
That's very very sweet. Honestly, I can't think of a better word than sweet off the top of my head. But I know there's different chaplains that'll visit nursing homes, they'll visit hospitals, and they're there to help comfort and minister to people who need assistance. So, and yes, and in jails especially as well.
Yeah,
that's very noble.
I am not saying it because he's my father, but it is. I mean, it is a big deal, like a very important thing, because not a lot of people have the courage or the guts to do that, especially jail.
Yeah.
But he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He's always moving, always trying to find ways to help. He goes to hospital as well. Donated clothes to home.
Right.
He's always moving like that.
I just saw in Tom's comment. Sorry, the quick segue of I have a moon pie. FYI, depending on how long that parcel stays in customs, Mark's gonna have a moon pie too.
Moon pie reminds me of Seinfeld.
So there it is, everybody.
Speaking of Seinfeld, there might be junior mints in there. Those. Just saying, Mark. There might be some things that you're gonna have to just grab and put them right in the freezer. Or put them in the fridge so they harden back up.
Check out Joe, Simon, and the rest of the team over at the No Name Trivia Show. Link is in the chats. So and don't forget to subscribe and tell them Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you. And if I might do it again if I'm up that early.
Wait, is this? Oh, so wait, is
Is that the
this
channel?
Sunday? Is this Sunday?
Yeah, Easter.
Yes. Just coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
Warehouse. The warehouse. Yeah.
Mark, you're gonna discover the joy.
The hell's a moon pie?
I got you the chocolate one because some people are divisive on the banana kind. I love them, but I got you. Yeah,
it is a U.S.
moon pie. That's
thing.
a southern thing, son.
It's definitely a southern thing.
Actually, I think. Bella, papi, we have it.
I might just go over to like who owns Twinkies and all those.
We have
Hostess. Just go grab a box and just send it to them.
Well, you might not have to do the Twinkie either. I took a lot of liberties in Mark's box,
I'm gonna work
and I
on
don't
the
want to
box.
surprise too much. But I do know that there were certain things that American-wise, when it comes to sweets, we like how Mark did like the biscuits for us. I was trying to do some of our cookies, but then I realized Americans, we also have other things that like Hostess. So there's a Hostess thing in there, and I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. But there's also cereal.
That is true, Dan.
But I did send him some cereal too, because as far as I know, over in the UK, breakfast cereals aren't as a full aisle kind of thing as it is here in America, or at least North America, because I don't know how it is in Canada or Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we have
big on cereal, right? But yeah, when I went
as big as the States, but yeah.
Okay, but yeah, when I went over to
seriously.
Yeah, when I went over to England, it wasn't as cereal, like we have like an entire aisle because we also snack on it. So Mark might be trying 8 different versions of some of the very best cereals known to America.
Marshmallow pie, not to be confused with.
They're 2 different things. It's not like a whoopie pie.
Yes, exactly.
Moon pies are different.
Things been sitting on my desk for 2 months now.
Yeah. So yeah, once Mark
we
gets
can send those to Mars with Abby.
I have to answer this one for Mark here.
Go ahead.
So if you have a Tom Horton restaurant, you've got a knockoff for starters. So it's already worse. Tim Hortons. That being said, they got bought out by Wendy's and went way downhill.
Well, since he also called it Mackie D, I think he's
got a lot of knockoffs.
Yeah. You have all the knockoffs there, Mark?
Yeah.
Is it really bad in Canada? I used to have somebody when I worked at my last company that I was there for a long time. I had sales reps in both North America, or all over North America. So we had them both in the US, and we had Canada and Puerto Rico. And one of my reps would always end in Canada. Always end every call. We'd be like, hey Melanie, I need this, this, and this. Can you help me with the presentation? Blah 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 blah. And then when he's done, all right, talk to you later. There'd be a beat of silence, and then it'd be a Tim Hortons coffee's better, and he'd hang up because my big thing is Dunkin. And each time I would message him, and I'd call him, and then hey, here's the presentation deck you were talking about. Make sure your margins, blah 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 blah. Dunkin Donuts is better, and click. So we would just always go back and forth.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of diabetes. The ghost of woman really just showed up.
Diabetes.
Speaking of food.
No, I'm getting hungrier. We're still on.
The Chinese food in Florida is different. Very different. The Chinese food in the States is actually very different.
Oh yeah, Chinese food is actually very regional.
It's
what we call Chinese food is very regional, depending on regional taste. Same thing with Greek salads.
Okay, because here is so different. The taste is different. It's just the thing is the cuisine is the fusion cuisine, I guess you could say, of the Puerto Rican cuisine and the Chinese cuisine all into one. So it makes it different.
Yeah, I mean it's regional on who's eating it and then what's really selling. Hence why like General Tso's chicken is different no matter where you go. I saw Tom's comment just before that missed out on In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger's amazing. In-N-Out Burger, but they won't open too far from where they can ship their meat fresh. They won't. It won't go any further. So I think as far out as they'll go is maybe Texas, I think, but it's definitely all like California.
It's in California, right?
Yeah, their fries. Do not like their fries. No
We
mango
finally
stuff.
got a White Castle, and my God, when that thing opened, it was a nightmare. It literally.
I had a friend that waited in that line in Orlando.
The drive-through
Hours.
went into the street. I mean, there was literally, they had to get the police to shuttle people away from the people who are waiting in line for White Castle. And they opened up another restaurant just right next to it, which was just as abysmal as far as getting food. And it was just like, is White Castle really worth it? And I said,
Have you tried getting cookies at Gideon's yet in downtown or Disney Springs?
I have not. I'm not a big fan of Disney
The line
Springs.
is gigantic, and on top of it, you have to use the virtual queue after that because you will be in that line for at least 2 hours.
I finally got a voodoo donut once in my life. From City Walk.
Voodoo's out of Portland originally. I think it's
City
Portland.
Walk. It's a big thing now at City Walk. It's Voodoo Donuts. It's
because there's one in Disney Springs that's ever glazed. It's another one of those kind of huge, amazing donuts kind of places.
But I tried something. It was caramel bacon donuts.
I've had
maple that's bacon. That's definitely based.
Maple bacon.
That's definitely got to be the Portland company expanding.
Of the people who are still in the chats, are any of you planning on going to MegaCon Orlando next month? Because whether or not we're trying to figure out whether or not, I say we, but I know we discussed it kinda. We're still making plans. I mean, Krishna is making plans for how we're going to do the 10th. Because it's the 10 years of the Legend of Traveling TARDIS. Whether or not we're going to do a meetup, whether or not we're going to do stuff afterwards, during live show, so at least you can kind of do something while we're there live.
I'll give some spoil. Wait. Let me.
Paul saying yes. Yes. Dalek Builders, you're going to be there? Are you going to be there?
I have to do this proper. Hang on.
What? Spoilers.
Oh. Fantastic.
Awesome.
I actually couldn't find that video for a while.
Dave, you had to write that you'll be at MegaCon.
Yes.
Okay, but I see Paul's in there. Tom's saying maybe next year. Something about Dan says something about the 12-hour drive is off-putting to this old man. Sorry, absolutely understand that.
Still got to funny you, Mark. Sorry.
I mean, Tim,
nice.
Mackie D's what we call McDonald's.
I'm just going to say this as far as MegaCon. There's might be something big going on Thursday.
I know.
And we've talked to.
And I made sure not to say anything.
Yep.
A little bit of the cat's been out of the bag, but let's just say everybody, May 19th is the 10th anniversary of the Traveling TARDIS. It is also the first day of MegaCon, and let's just say there has been discussions about doing something with the Traveling TARDIS.
Right.
We still haven't nailed out the bugs yet, but we're going to be. The thing is,
Don't say anything. We're just planning on stuff, and it's just nice to know who's going to be there so we can figure out what other stuff we're planning. That's my point. Not what you're currently planning.
Let's just say, in the weirdest sense, you are going to a theme park. You got the hotel book, but you're not sure if you got the tickets to the theme park you're going to that you have the hotel book for. It's very weird, but we're trying to nail out some of the logistics on what we can and can't do, but we might have something for the Traveling TARDIS on May 19th. We're definitely going to have a lot for the Whovians there.
The Daleks are going to be there.
Yay!
Yep, Paul just said the Daleks are going to be
there. There might be something with the Daleks that day as well. Not sure.
Let's
just say
12-hour drive. Who else is going to be there?
It's totally worth it. It's totally worth it, Dan.
Let's see. Yes. Oh, night, Andrew. Didn't realize that you had left. Sorry.
Night, Andrew.
Oh.
Big boy won't be back.
Bob's big boy's gone.
Big boy. Because I have family who lives in Kentucky. And I remember Big Boy. I remember, what was the other restaurant? Yeah, Big Boy. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to slap the big belly of Big Boy, the little statue.
Yeah, him just standing there with his big belly.
Yeah, I always
we had one in St. Pete, and then it eventually went away.
Does it exist anymore? Like,
I don't know. Have I found it? No, I still have these. I have not opened those yet. I'm still nibbling on the green and blacks, but I'll be honest, I'm not eating these things. These things are
Finish the box. You still haven't finished the first box.
Yeah, there's certain things in here that I'm not. I've had and I was not fans of, but yeah, no, it's almost gone because I gotta get ready for the next box.
Nobody tells me about that.
15 pounds of candy. I'm bringing it with me to MegaCon. Sell it to you people. It's the next box. 15 pounds. 15 pounds.
15 pounds of what?
But we already
candy. That's what Mark sent me, and then I sent him 15 pounds of goodies too. I haven't opened the box though.
Maybe I should send you something, Melanie. The candy
yes, let's do a sweets exchange. Let's do this.
Can we do it? Like seriously, should we do this? Like
yeah,
I could like the local candies here.
Yes.
So
and I'll just buy everything from Target for you. That way you get like win-win. Like, oh my god.
You have to pick it up. You have to pick it up on the 19th. You have to come to Orlando and be there on the 19th to pick it all up.
Yeah. I'll be at my booth just eating candy.
Yeah.
See how much weight Melanie can gain.
You like cocoa? You like cocoa?
Yes.
So you got your vendor's booth for MegaCon, right?
Yes, I am. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna 2 tables.
I just need to figure out who I'm taking as far as the panelists are concerned, because I know there's a few people are getting in on their own, and there might be
Shoney's. Mark Robinson said 7 kilograms, which is 15 pounds. By the by.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just about like 50. Actually, 16 pounds, I think.
I think there's Shoney's left on iDrive. I think it's the last one if it's still
Is
there.
it? Because Bob's. I don't know Frisch's. Shoney's. I don't know if there is.
I remember Frisch's.
Big boy.
If my dad was here in the chat, he will tell you everything because we did live a couple of years in Kentucky also, and in Ohio. So I remember a restaurant called Ryan's, but I'm not sure if it's.
Ryan's was here for a while too. That was another buffet steakhouse.
You know what we got? Rumors? Actually, not rumors. You know what's already here? Golden Corral. Golden Corral.
Oh, see, that's the funny thing is Golden Corral we have here, but the ones that are by me, they're closed. But we still get the commercials for them. So I know
they're
some
making
of them
a
are still
small
around.
comeback.
We just got Golden Corral.
20 by 50. How many Daleks are going to be there?
Oh no! That's another spoiler. It's not. It's not. There's a lot more going on than just Daleks in that booth.
Well, you don't have to. Shh. Bite your tongue. Don't.
That's all I'm saying.
Could expand. I don't know this, and I want to know more.
What? Come UK Doctor Who Celebrity Space Center want back again?
I'm not.
Well, wait. Mark said something that there was also just a quick thing going back that there was a space center.
Yes, there is.
In Leicester.
Scrolling.
It's somewhere in Leicester, and then come UK Doctor. Come to the UK. Doctor Who Celebrity Space Center want back again. I'm sorry, Sophie. The conjunction words are not there, so it's throwing me off how the cadence of that sentence is. If from the UK and want to discover more about space, don't forget we have a National Space Center in Leicestershire, England. How far away is that London? My mom wants to go back, so let's see.
No, I have no idea if the Canadian Space Agency does anything cool. I mean, other than build an arm.
But
the space arm is the Canada arm.
But yeah, for us, NASA goes to a lot of our Comic Con, so they're always there at big fixture of MegaCon. They're at Tampa Bay Comic Con. I believe, I'm assuming that they go to SuperCon, but they do go to a lot of them.
Well, Dave, you have the end broadcast button, right?
I do.
Okay, I gotta run, but if you want to keep the episode going, go for it. I just gotta run. I love you guys. See you this Sunday when we do the episode for the preview and view of the Sea Devils, but I got to take care of business. So,
yes.
Bye.
Bye.
He's not leaving yet. Kick him out.
He's not leaving. No,
kick him out. There you go.
Now we can talk all about Christian.
No, but I did want to say that if you're going to if this episode really struck your fancy that you want to see more about space and all that kind of stuff, NASA especially here, you're going to get Cape Canaveral's area. They're going to be going everybody that works like out of Cape Canaveral, they'll go to these conventions. So you'll see a lot more of the, like some of the Mars stuff. A lot of what they're working on in conjunction with SpaceX, with a lot of their launches, and then just other projects that were out of here. At one point, I think Cassini, no, it wasn't here, Cassini, but like over at San Diego Comic-Con, where the Jet Propulsion Lab is, they had models of like the Cassini, the satellite. They talked about the missions there. They were talking about, you know, the its rotations. They were talking about Mars. I mean, NASA brings models and education. They're very hands-on, and they'll have like little signs saying, ask a rocket scientist, ask an astrophysicist, and they will just talk everything that you want to learn. They're very engaging. So if you can get to a Comic-Con, look around to see if NASA's out there, because they just sci-fi geeks and nerds and everybody in our little different fandoms that go to comic conventions, they know we cross-pollinate, that we are fascinated with the stars. We're fascinated with the real, everything that's real and has inspired us to be sci-fi. Has put the fiction into all the science. So they're there. So if you can, and you're like, I don't know whether or not to ever go to a Comic-Con, and more of the sciencey stuff floats your boat, check it out. See if NASA is there.
It looks like the Canadian Space Agency, I mean, has not done anything for a very long time because, well, world. But it looks like they're starting to get back out there. They got some stuff at some museums. They got a lot of virtual workshops and stuff, but who knows where they'll be going forward, because I'm not going to go back that far into the pages. But no, I think this was a ton of fun. This was a great event, or a great show. I loved it. It was great. Thank you guys for coming out. And
my dad sent me a message and told me that he sends hugs to all of you.
Send hugs back.
It's amazing.
So,
he's welcome on the show. He's welcome in the comment section anytime.
Yeah, I guess the whole I'm on the only child thing probably has a big factor to do with it, but he's like, I'm so proud of you. I almost cried when I saw my dad like in the comment when he says dad is very proud. I was like, oh,
yes.
I was like, got a little like, oh. Yeah.
Tom says 8 hours north of Orlando.
It was fun. It was really fun.
Cool. So we'll see you there. Is that what we're saying then, Tom? Is you're gonna be in Orlando for MegaCon? That's what that sounds like. Tom is committing to driving that minimal amount of only 8 hours.
Mark, 1 a.m. here in the UK, and we keep going.
Wow,
Heck yeah!
What? They're 5 hours ahead.
Yeah, they're 5 hours ahead on a Tuesday. Mark, do you work? I don't know. Don't care. You keep sending candy. I'll keep sending candy. I can't wait until you get your parcel. Because even my husband was helping me with it. He's like, no, he needs this. He's like, he's a fan of Seinfeld. Maybe he's done this.
I'm like, candy, right? Mark is the one who sent you the candy.
Mark sent me candy back in Christmassy time, and we did the episode, and that's why I got my little meme about chocolate. Kitty!
I have 2 hands full, so I can't put up the alarm.
For Easter, he sent another box. And I was able to get my box for him. And I tried getting a little bit more Eastery kind of stuff in there. But then because it's all just American kind of stuff, we kind of opened it up to, okay, what other convenience store snacks and sweets that you remember having as a kid here? Or things like, yes, I sent him our Smarties. So enjoy that chalk. And that's not, being too spoilerly, because that's honestly how it started. I said I never had Smarties. I never had I've never had the Canadian or the UK version of Smarties. I've only had the American ones.
Never heard of it. Smarties.
Completely different things.
Very much.
American ones are little round, chalky kind of pieces, like almost like Pez, but rounder and harder and and they're just a little kind of packet. They're almost pill sized.
M&M size, but flatter.
Yeah, but their Smarties are like an M&M, but on steroids. They're larger. I like the chocolate more than an M&M, and just wow. So yeah, we in America got shafted on that.
Do you know that I just remembered something of when you talked about cereal? I just remembered something. We have Frosted Flakes.
Yes,
because because everybody has, well, most of us cannot pronounce Frosted Flakes. Here, they changed the name to Sucarita. It's
Because
Frosted Flakes.
They can't say Frosted Flakes?
No, it's like not everybody talks English here.
Oh, maybe because the R's always rolled.
Frosted.
Ooh,
It's
yeah,
like
right.
frosted. They will say like something like Frosted Flakes. Like there are not a lot of people who can pronounce that. Like my grandmother, for example, she can't say Home Depot. She says Home Depot, something like that. Like, and they
No, that makes sense though, because those are words that you really
Frosted
have to
Flakes.
spell. Yeah, the how do I put it? Like you said, like the H is a lot. It can be
'cause the
silent for a
H-
lot of your stuff.
The H is here is silent and correct, and so Frosted Flakes. I mean, obviously I can say it, but not a lot of people, not locals here can pronounce it or can say it. So they changed the name to Sucarita.
Sucarita. So sugar, little sugar.
It's right. It's like saying little sugar, but it's still
Okay.
Frosted Flakes. But it's just the name they
It's little-
changed it completely.
That's funny.
It is pretty funny and pretty weird.
Paul wrote something in the okay. Well, first of all, Mark, you have to work at 7 a.m. Go, leave, stop. You should leave. Paul did mention another candy that might have might have made it. Yes, I sent him Necco wafers, and not the chocolate one, the normal one.
Oh, you said
which I'll be
wafer.
quiet in case no one knows what a Necco wafer is. Because I love the hell out of Necco wafers, but I have to always say that's old people candy. American Smarties are like tiny sweet tarts with 1/10 of the flavor. That is accurate. And he got both. I know I shouldn't be telling him this, but I don't think he's going to even know what the heck I'm saying.
I feel very much, Mark, that I'm just going to have to get fat while I'm over there.
The weight I had to gain for him, I'm going to gain again?
You're going to get, if you come
That man
here,
better eat his moon pie.
get fat. I mean, we love to eat. We eat, I mean, like Thanksgiving is a huge deal here. Christmas here is huge deals. Like it's just a lot of food, especially like New Year's Eve, the Three Wise Men Day, because we celebrate Three Wise Men Day here.
Yeah.
But especially like if you go to, there's this road they call Guabate. Like it's like connecting to my city to another city called Calle, and so that road is called or that place is like Guabate, and it's I mean it's a night if you're vegetarian or vegan, it's a nightmare for you because it's very meat. It's pork and chicken, mostly pork and chicken.
Let's do this. I want protein it up. Well, I just saw Mark's comment before about full English breakfast being the best thing for a hangover. I absolutely, when I went over there, like the first couple days, I get porridge, which is oatmeal in our language. Because usually when I'm traveling, I kind of go with a light diet at first, so I can transition. And then it's like full English every morning, because to me a full English is extremely similar to a Southern breakfast platter.
Really?
Although there's different things, you're still getting that weight of carb and meat and just, bam, you're gonna this
the English you're talking about like English type of breakfast?
It's called a full English. It is usually 2 eggs, I believe, over easy. You're gonna have, funny enough, you're gonna have tomatoes. Here you might not usually get. Oh, it's 2 eggs. You get their bacon. You get some sauce like blood. Is it blood pudding? So
that's so weird. That's
you
so weird.
get baked. You get the beans. But they're not like Southern. So I'm used to my baked beans being sweet because Southerny American-y. It's not. I remember the tomatoes. I remember the mushrooms. So there's a little bit of veg on the plate too. Toast. What else am I missing? I think there's another meat. I can't remember. But like Southern food, you're talking about 2 eggs. You're talking about toast. You can talk about pancakes. You're talking about hash browns. I don't think there was a potato over there. Yeah, you're talking about hash browns. You're talking, depending on which greasy spoon you're going to, there's a pancake involved. There could be grits involved. It depends.
Oh, grits. I had grits before. I went to Cracker
Barrel. And it ain't breakfast in the South. It's breakfast.
Let's use Are we banned for using that name? I don't know if we're allowed anymore. Twitch doesn't like using that word.
What word?
Oh, right. The CRA.
Yeah, the first half of that name is Twitch doesn't like anymore.
Oh, right.
It's been ridiculous.
Right, but
we'll take that conversation off, ladies. I love you all.
Oh, you gotta go.
I do need to go as well, and I'm the one with the shut off button.
All right,
That being said, Melina,
bye guys, and Mark. No, your bacon is not better than the USA.
Melina, when we do American Thanksgiving, the month later than it's supposed to be, we'll do another food episode, and you have to be on that. All right, just before I hit end, last week we had Simon Fisher-Becker and Tony on, and I grabbed a song of Tony's for the end card there, and I'm just going to play that one out too. So Tony will play us out.